I once had an American tourist in London ask me if they could pay for their fish and chips in real money. I asked what they meant, and they said, American dollars, since the pound isn't worth much outside Europe anyway. They genuinely thought the UK used fake money for decoration. I used to work at a hostel in Paris that got tons of American tourists, and one woman from Nevada genuinely believed the Eiffel Tower was copied from Las Vegas. She was standing right under it when she said, "Wow, Paris really did a good job replicating the one in Vegas." I told her, as gently as possible, that this was the original. She frowned and said, "No, the one in Vegas came first. This one just looks older because of all the pollution." She took about 50 selfies and left, still convinced Paris had built a knockoff. A guy on Facebook once started a full-blown argument claiming Alaska couldn't be part of the United States because it's not connected by land. Someone pointed out that Hawaii isn't connected either, and the guy said, "Yeah, but that's different. Hawaii's an island." When another commenter explained that Alaska's borders literally touch Canada, he accused them of editing maps to make me look stupid. Spoiler, no editing was required. I once saw a Reddit post from an American who asked if Canadians have the 4th of July on the same day as us. A Canadian politely replied, "We have July 4th, but it's just July 4th. The American, not missing a beat, wrote, "So when do you guys celebrate your independence?" The Canadian said, "We didn't have to. We just asked nicely." That reply got more upvotes than the original question had words. Someone genuinely asked on Twitter if Europe had the internet yet, or are they still catching up? When a guy from Germany replied, "We've had Wi-Fi for decades," she fired back with, "You mean like American Wi-Fi or some slower European version?" It took 3 separate people to explain that the internet is global. She ended the thread with, "We should have kept it American only." A woman posted a picture of Australians celebrating Christmas on the beach and said, "Wouldn't it be weird to wear swimsuits in the snow?" Someone commented, "It's summer in Australia in December." She paused for a bit, then came back with, "Oh my god. So does that mean your July is cold?" You could practically hear her brain overheating through the screen. A man planning a trip to England asked if he should bring American adapters because they use 220 volts of electricity or something. When someone explained that UK plugs are different, he replied, "So will my iPhone explode if I plug it in there?" He ended his comment with, "Maybe I'll just charge it in the hotel before I fly back each day." Each day. I once saw an American insist that Europe was one single country because they have one flag. When someone posted a photo of a map, he called it fake news and said, "I've been to Epcot. It's literally all one country." He thought the EU was like a big Disneyland with themed zones. Honestly, I kind of admire that level of confidence in being wrong. A Texan in a Facebook group wrote, "I don't understand how Canadians are always cold. You guys live north of us, but weather doesn't move north, it moves east. You should be getting our leftover Texas heat." Someone responded with a map of the jet stream. He replied, "That's just wind. I'm talking about weather." An American man once wrote a patriotic essay online about how America invented democracy. When a Greek user gently commented, "Actually, we had democracy in ancient Athens," he snapped back, "Stop lying. Greece wasn't even a country back then." The Greek replied, "Neither was yours." There was a viral TikTok where a girl asked if Africa was a country. Someone commented, "No, it's a continent." She said, "Okay, but it still has a president, right?" When another person explained that each country has its own government, she looked dead serious and said, "So who decides what language they all speak?" At that moment, every geography teacher on earth felt their soul leave their body. A girl from Florida once posted a serious question on Reddit. If people in Australia are upside down, how do they not fall off the earth? Someone tried to explain gravity, complete with a diagram, and she replied, "That's fake. Gravity only pulls down, not up." When another user said, "It pulls toward the center," she said, Center of what? Flat things don't have centers. There was silence in the thread for about 30 minutes before someone quietly commented, "Ma'am, the planet is round." I once read a Twitter thread where an American argued that Canada couldn't be north because the map in my school had the US on top. A Canadian replied, "You can rotate a globe, you know." The American said, "No, that's just how teachers show it. America's at the top because we're number one." It's wild how nationalism and cartography collided so beautifully in one single moment of pure misunderstanding. Someone in an online cooking group once asked why British people boil their milk. A Brit responded, confused, asking what they meant. The American said, because you don't have fridges. When told that refrigerators exist in Europe, the American doubled down. Then why do you drink warm beer? He thought beer was literally the same thing as milk that went bad. A guy commented on a post about London's underground system saying, "It's crazy that they built subways underwater." Someone said, "No, that's why it's called underground. It's below ground level." He fired back, "Then why don't they call it below ground?" And the best part? Another American replied agreeing with him, saying, "Honestly, English people make everything sound weird on purpose." The irony went completely unnoticed. On a travel subreddit, an American woman wrote, "I'm visiting Switzerland. Does anyone know what language they speak there?" I heard it's Swiss. A Swiss user said, "We speak German, French, Italian, and Romansh." She said, "You can't speak 4 languages. Pick one." Someone told her multilingual countries exist. She replied, "That's just showing off." A man proudly posted a picture of himself at the Colosseum in Rome with the caption, "Can't believe I'm standing where Jesus fought the lions." The comment section tried so hard to help him. Someone wrote, "That's not quite what happened." He replied, "Well, I'm not religious, but I know my history." "No, sir, you do not." An American tourist once asked a guide in Edinburgh why the old castles were built so close to the mountains. The guide said, "For defense." The tourist nodded thoughtfully and said, "So the enemies couldn't see them behind the mountains." He paused and added, "That's clever. Using camouflage before technology." Everyone just kind of stood there in silence, letting him have his little moment. A YouTube commenter once said, "How come British people have accents? Don't they speak normal English like us?" Someone explained that they invented English. The American wrote, "No, they copied it. We perfected it." And somewhere, Shakespeare's ghost logged off forever. On a Reddit thread about time zones, an American guy said he didn't believe they were real. His reason? If it's 5 p.m. here, it should be 5 p.m. everywhere. The sun doesn't move that fast. When someone asked him to explain how planes cross days, he said, "They don't." Airlines fake that to mess with your head. It's like flat Earth, but make it time flat. There was this Facebook mom who went viral after posting, "I'm never flying to Europe again. I left America at night and landed there the next day. They made us skip a whole day of our lives. People tried explaining time zones and Earth's rotation." She replied, "Then where did Thursday go?" It's probably still waiting for her somewhere over the Atlantic. I saw a thread where an American woman claimed that the Eiffel Tower was built as a gift from America to France. Someone corrected her, saying it was actually designed by Gustave Eiffel and built in France. She said, "No, I saw it on a TV show." France sent us the Statue of Liberty, and we gave them the Eiffel Tower in return. Another user replied, "So what, they mailed it piece by piece in flat rate boxes?" She said, "Maybe." You can't parody that level of confidence. On a travel forum, an American tourist wrote, "I'm nervous about visiting London because I don't speak British." Someone kindly said, "They speak English." She replied, "No, they speak British English." "I only know American English. Will they understand me?" Another user told her, "You'll be fine. Just add extra vowels." She said, "Thanks." I'll start practicing with color and flavor. At least she tried. An American once told a Canadian online that Canada is basically the 51st state. The Canadian replied, "No, we're our own country." The American responded, "Then why do your people look like us?" That single line could fuel a PhD on American self-centeredness. Someone in a Facebook debate about climate change said, "If the Earth is getting hotter, why is it snowing where I live?" Another commenter said, "That's weather, not climate." He replied, "Weather is climate. They're the same thing, you moron." Then he ended the argument by posting a photo of his backyard covered in snow and wrote, "Checkmate, scientists." Somewhere, a meteorologist popped an aspirin. There was this guy on Twitter who said that Europe can't be that old because it's smaller than America. Someone asked what he meant. He said, "It just doesn't make sense that a small place could have that much history." When a historian told him ancient Rome existed before the US was even an idea, he replied, "That's impossible. There weren't even Americans to discover it yet." I swear he said it with the confidence of someone who's never left his hometown, but still thinks he's seen the world through Google Earth. I once saw an American tourist argue with an Irish bartender because his Guinness was too warm. The bartender said, "It's served at cellar temperature, not cold." The tourist slammed his glass down and shouted, "In America, we serve beer the right way, freezing cold so you don't taste it." The bartender smiled and said, "Aye, that explains a lot." Even the bar stools felt that burn. A post once went viral after a woman complained that her European Airbnb didn't have a dryer. People told her that many Europeans just hang their clothes. She wrote, "That's disgusting. Doesn't that make the clothes smell like outside?" Someone replied, "That's kind of the point." She ended the thread with, "I guess that's why Europeans smell weird." The collective facepalm from Europe could be heard across the Atlantic. An American student once asked on Quora, "If people in England drive on the left side, do they build their cars backwards?" Someone patiently explained the concept of right-hand drive. He said, "That sounds dangerous. How do you even shift gears if your hands are switched?" Another person said, "They just use their other hand." He replied, "So they have to learn to be ambidextrous to drive? That's insane." Sometimes it's not ignorance, it's art. On Facebook, an American guy said, "I don't believe in dinosaurs because the Bible doesn't mention them." Someone pointed out that fossils exist. He replied, "Yeah, those were planted by scientists to test our faith." Then he added, "Plus, if dinosaurs were real, they'd still be around." Apparently, extinction was just a liberal myth to him. An American tourist once asked an Italian waiter, "What kind of pasta do you use for spaghetti?" The waiter said, "Spaghetti." She replied, "No, I mean what shape?" The waiter blinked for 5 full seconds and said, "The spaghetti shape." She later left a review saying, "Service was rude and confusing." There was a post where a guy said, "If the world is round, why don't planes fly off the edge when they go upside down?" Someone calmly explained gravity again. He said, "That's just what NASA wants you to think. They film everything in a big swimming pool." When asked if he'd ever been on a plane, he said, "No, I don't trust them. They make you breathe recycled air, hard to argue with that level of creative paranoia." I once saw an American argue that Europe isn't a real place because it's just a collection of countries. Someone said, "That's literally what a continent is." He replied, "So why don't we call America a continent then?" They said, "We do." North America and South America, he said, "That's fake news. America is just one big country. The others are just add-ons." Geography wept quietly in the corner. An American mom once asked online if she needed a passport to visit Hawaii. People told her Hawaii is part of the US. She said, "Then why do people call it going overseas?" Someone replied, "Because it's across the ocean." She said, "Then that's international, isn't it?" You could practically hear the collective sigh from everyone who's ever booked a flight. Someone once tweeted, "If humans came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?" A biologist patiently explained evolution. The person replied, "So you're saying I'm related to a chimp? My dad's a veteran, thank you very much." When asked if they understood natural selection, they said, "Yeah, it means only the strong survive, like America." Darwin probably spun so fast in his grave he generated electricity. A woman on Facebook wrote, "The moon is clearly a light bulb God put up there to help us see at night." Someone tried to explain reflection in sunlight. She responded, "That's impossible because the moon shines even when it's cloudy." When asked to look up phases of the moon, she said, "I don't read NASA lies." The comment section was divided between praying and facepalming. During an online debate about climate change, a guy said, "If global warming is real, why was it cold last winter?" Someone posted a detailed explanation of climate versus weather. He said, "So you're saying snow is fake now?" Then added, "I'll start believing in global warming when I see penguins move to Florida." The thread was locked for repetitive ignorance. A man commented on a YouTube video of the Great Wall of China saying, "I don't get why they built it in China. That's far from America." Someone explained it was built thousands of years ago by the Chinese. He replied, "So they copied our idea of walls?" The top comment said, "Yes, they saw your future and got inspired." History just took psychic damage. A Redditor once said, "I don't get why Canadians act like they're not American. They literally live in America." Someone explained that Canada is its own country. He said, "But it's still in America, right?" People clarified the difference between a continent and a country. He said, "You're just overcomplicating geography." At that point, everyone agreed to let him win, for the sake of peace. An American online once complained, "The world should switch to our calendar. It's confusing that everyone uses different ones." Someone told him the entire world already uses the Gregorian calendar. He said, "Then why is Chinese New Year on a different date?" They said, "Because that's a traditional lunar calendar." He said, "So they're ignoring the real one?" Apparently, time zones and culture were both optional to him. A woman commented, "I can't believe Africa doesn't have snow. How do they survive the heat?" Someone posted pictures of Mount Kilimanjaro covered in snow. She said, "That's not Africa. It's on a mountain." When another explained it was in Africa, she said, "Then Africa must be huge." Geography sighed again and booked therapy. And finally, one of the most legendary posts ever. A man once wrote, "If the earth spins so fast, how come helicopters don't just hover and let the world move under them?" People tried explaining rotation and atmosphere. He said, "You're telling me the air moves too? That's just ridiculous." Someone replied, "It's called physics." He said, "That's your opinion." And that right there is how science died on the internet.